They took one article I wrote called How to Stop Rape. It was a satirical thought experiment that the way to reduce rape is to encourage women to take responsibility for what they do. And I said we should legalize rape, which of course is an absurd notion.
But I checked out the most shocking charge against Roosh. The most widely reported claim against him. That was also in that petition that Roosh believes rape should be legalized. That's the accusation. I read his entire column on that subject, and it was clearly an outrageous satire in the spirit of Jonathan Swift's modest proposal to eat the poor. It was a lament that he observed that so many young women get drunk and do drugs in the company of strange men they hardly know, and that no one was teaching these young women to be careful or even to value their own modesty. A real feminist in the old-fashioned sense of that word would have agreed with Roosh's point. It would have been sad at how women today have desensitized themselves to promiscuity and have devalued their own sexuality and actually put themselves at real risk of rape. But modern social justice warriors thought this satire was proof that Roosh was a criminal. And it was proof enough for two mayors and a city councilor who obviously didn't even bother to read it.
You wrote an article saying rape should be legal. And before anyone reading it, they just ran with that. My personal belief is because they were so happy they finally found someone that fit the narrative. And rather than get into the nuance of the discussion, they just go, we found a bad man. And they run off and want to ban you from Canada. But in your argument, you're actually trying to prevent women from getting raped, whereas these slut walks and the women are the same as men. They can go in and get wasted, and they can go to any party they want to. That gets more women raped than your philosophy.
You know, in that article, which everyone is quoting as some kind of, I clearly state what the rules of consent are. I clearly state no means no. And I clearly state that the intention of this thought experiment, which is absurd, I mean, you can't legalize violence, is to reduce rape, is to reduce harm. It was a thought experiment to show how if women take more personal responsibility for themselves, just like they do for their smartphone, their car, or whatever that they own, they would be putting themselves less at risk. I mean, a man who parks his car in a bad area and leaves the door open and leaves the key in there is going to be called an idiot if someone actually robs him. But when a woman has 15 drinks a night and goes home with a sexy man, and then the next day she feels upset about it and misconstrues that event as rape, we encourage and celebrate her. So I'm not sure, I don't get it why men have to be responsible for themselves and women at the same time when women don't have to be responsible for anything.
Well, it really is the death of intellect, because when someone presents you with a kooky hypothesis that rocks your world, the solution is not to scream your fucking head off and have a panic attack.
If I was being serious with my thought experiment, maybe it would. But if people really genuinely think that I would advocate for violence against anyone, their IQ has to be under 80. I mean, I'm having a lot of tone-deaf, autistic people, and I have nothing against men who have autism. But obviously something is up there that they cannot tell satire. It's almost like if Jonathan Swift made his I like to eat babies argument now, everyone would call a Twitter mob against him and ban him from wherever country he is in. It's just absurd how, just like you said, the level of intellect is so low that people can't even read anymore. They cannot read. They can only read short sound bites disseminated by a biased media to get them up in a froth.